Oliver Hudson has always been known for his candid approach to life, but in a recent conversation he delved deeper than ever before into the intricacies of his long-term marriage to Erinn Bartlett, particularly focusing on how their intimate life has transformed over nearly 2 decades together. Hudson, the son of Goldie Hawn and Bill Hudson and brother to Kate Hudson, opened up about the evolution of their relationship, emphasizing that it's not just about the physical aspects but the profound emotional and psychological layers that have made their bond stronger. He described the journey as one of mutual growth, where vulnerability has become the cornerstone of their connection, allowing them to explore new depths in their intimacy that they couldn't have imagined in their earlier years. At the heart of Hudson's reflections is the idea that true intimacy isn't about grand gestures or cinematic romance but about the quiet, everyday acknowledgments of each other's beauty and desirability. He spoke glowingly of Erinn, calling her sexy and hot without hesitation, but what stood out was his insistence on the emotional tether that elevates their encounters. "It's not like those slow, beautiful scenes you see in movies," he admitted with a laugh, painting a picture of a passionate, unfiltered dynamic that's fueled by years of shared history. Every morning he catches sight of her and feels that same rush of attraction, a reminder that love doesn't fade but adapts, deepens and sometimes reignites in unexpected ways. This daily appreciation, he explained, is what keeps the spark alive, turning ordinary moments into opportunities for reconnection. Yet, Hudson's story isn't one of unblemished bliss. It's a testament to resilience in the face of personal demons. He recounted a period in his life dominated by crippling anxiety, which manifested in the most vulnerable of spaces, their bedroom. Panic attacks would strike without warning during moments of closeness, turning what should have been sanctuary into a battleground of fear. "It felt like I was dying," he shared, his voice carrying the weight of those memories even now. In those days, mental health resources were scarcer, and medication wasn't an option he pursued immediately. Instead, he turned to physical outlets like intense workouts, hoping to sweat out the tension. But the irony was cruel. The very act of pushing his body harder only amplified the attacks, creating a vicious cycle that left him exhausted and isolated. Hudson didn't shy away from the humor in hindsight, a trait that's endeared him to fans over the years. Once he realized the episodes weren't life-threatening, he began to approach them with self-deprecating wit, using laughter as a bridge back to normalcy. "I joked to myself, well, at least it's not fatal," he said, acknowledging how that levity helped him detach from the terror. But beneath the jokes lay a serious commitment to healing. Journaling became his lifeline, a private ritual where he could unpack the chaos in his mind, tracing the threads of worry back to their origins. Meditation followed, teaching him to anchor himself in the present rather than spiral into what-ifs. These practices weren't quick fixes but gradual shifts, rebuilding his sense of control one breath at a time. This personal evolution didn't happen in a vacuum. It rippled through his marriage, allowing Hudson to show up more fully for Erinn. By confronting his anxiety head-on, he dismantled the barriers that had once kept him guarded during intimate moments. Vulnerability, he realized, wasn't a weakness but a superpower in their relationship. It invited Erinn into his inner world, fostering a trust that translated directly into their physical connection. "We've deepened the sex," he put it bluntly, a phrase that captures the raw honesty of his narrative. "It's about more than frequency or novelty. It's the authenticity that comes from knowing each other's scars and still choosing desire." Hudson credits this openness for making their intimacy richer, more layered, like a conversation that's been going on for years and only gets more nuanced with time. Of course, no long-term relationship is without its storms, and Hudson was forthright about one of the darkest chapters in their early days. Before they tied the knot, as the excitement of engagement swirled around them, something shifted inside him, a psychological unraveling triggered by the weight of commitment. He spiraled into infidelity, an act he describes not with excuses but with stark accountability. "I cheated," he stated simply, the words hanging heavy in the air of his retelling. It wasn't a one-time lapse but a pattern born from unaddressed fears, a way of sabotaging the very future he claimed to want. He never got caught in the traditional sense, but the guilt gnawed at him relentlessly, a shadow he couldn't outrun. The turning point came not from discovery but from his own moral compass. Hudson chose confession, laying bare his betrayal to Erinn in a moment that could have shattered them. "I couldn't walk down the aisle carrying that," he explained, his voice steady with the clarity of retrospect. "It was a risk born of love, a desperate bid to start their marriage on truth rather than deception." Erinn's response, he revealed, was one of grace amid devastation. Pain, yes, but also a willingness to fight for what they had. They dove into therapy not as a last resort but as a proactive tool, unpacking the why behind his actions and rebuilding from the rubble.